the game. You don't play to just play. Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. Can't wait. Let's go.
Yes, we are back. We are back for another episode of the Cheap Seats podcast. I am the NFL genius, Gene Walzak, and directly to my left is the prince of production for Sports Empire Network, the king, Kyle Edwards.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, everybody? Hopefully you're enjoying your night. Hopefully we can make it a little better. But yeah, I'm glad to be here for another round of Cheap Seats. I think we'll have some interesting debates tonight.
Joining us again from Brutally Honest Sports, the man Aaron Riley, from Bases Loaded Podcast to Brutally Honest Sports to now the Cheap Seats because he's hanging with us. Brutally Honest Sports, you're back, Aaron. How you feeling?
Oh, it's an honor, man. It's an honor to be here. So I'm raring to go. Just like I hope hopefully the Eagles are too, man. We'll see. That's a different topic, but
I have two fantasy football matchups that depend on tonight's action. I'm in 7 leagues, right? I got the bye in 4.
Okay.
I made the playoffs in 6. 7 money leagues. I don't count the Sports Empire Network league. I don't count that. But 7 money leagues. I made the playoffs in 6 of them. I got the bye in 4. Both playoff matches come down to tonight. In one of them, I have to make sure that DK Metcalf does not score 20.7 points. 20.7 is what he needs. Or I'll lose.
a little concerning.
100% concerning. And in the other one, I need Kenneth Walker to score 23. Now, I don't want that to happen, right? I'm okay with losing. I'm all right with it. Unless he gets those, like, the Eagles are up 38-13, and then you get a little dump off screen pass to Kenneth Walker, and he runs it in, and he gets that 20. But, like, I am going to be rooting against him the entire night until I feel safe that the Eagles have won the football. Right? Like, I don't, like, it's one of those things where you get to this serious in the NFL season, I'm cool with losing some money if the Eagles win. I'm all right with it.
That's
Totally
what
worth it.
football does to you.
So I'll be happy to go 1-1. I'll be happy to go 1-1 tonight. I'll root against DK, and if Kenneth Walker loses, he loses. But if I go 1-2, it'll be a little bit depressing. We got to talk about a lot today. We got a lot of topics tonight. We got Chase that will be joining us shortly. He'll be jumping in the studio. We know he's not a huge basketball guy. He's a big football guy. We have 3 NFL topics and then a basketball topic, or 1 basketball topic and then 3 NFL. I say we start with the NBA top 5, if that's okay with you, Kyle. Is that all right? Can we do that?
That's fine. That's fine.
All
That's fine with me.
So I say we start with we have a topic, and I'm hoping there's enough people in the Sports Empire Network listening, because this is a debate that we get into all the time. And I want to give my top 5 NBA players of all time. Now, what sparked this is a friend of mine. I'll call her a friend. I don't know her personally, but I watch her stuff, and I respect her as a sports analyst, accept her take on this. A friend of mine put out a live, and what she does on the live is she posts her top 3 players of all time and then has people debate her. And I was so incredibly frustrated watching it. And I'm not going to put her on blast, but I love Maria. She's awesome, but her list is trash, right? It's terrible. And it's trash for one specific reason. But I won't do that. I won't do that. If you want, I can give you the right order, or I would prefer to go last so I could pick apart your orders and then give you the correct answer. Kyle, are you ready with your 5? Is that okay? Are you locked in?
I mean, yeah, I could go first.
That's preferred. I want you and Aaron to go first and second, and then I'll tell you where you're wrong.
Okay. Okay, so my list, like Stephen A says, is fluid, but
it shouldn't be. Stephen A's wrong.
I know. I just wanted to make fun of him for that. But I'll go Jordan 1.
Okay.
I'll go LeBron 2.
Okay.
I got Shaq 3,
Okay.
Kobe 4, Duncan 5.
I mean, it's wrong, but it's not like incredibly wrong. Like all 5 of your players, I think, are top 10 NBA players of all time.
Right.
But it's wrong. It's wrong. It's okay. It's all right to be that wrong, right? Like if I ask people their Mount Rushmore of actors and they don't have Leonardo DiCaprio and Denzel Washington on their list, their list is wrong. Like factually wrong. Like you can't be right if you don't have those two on your list. So like your list has Mike, LeBron, and then you have a couple guys that you got Shaq, you got Kobe, Tim Duncan. They're all top 10 guys of all time. I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's like 10 to 12 people that you come up with a top 5, it's arguable. But yeah, like you're saying, if you're gonna throw out like, I don't want to throw out a random name because maybe Aaron has them on there, but I'll let Aaron go.
Aaron, I hope that you give me a better list than Kyle. Kyle's list wasn't that good. It's wrong.
I mean, I did kind of put it together kind of quickly.
You should always know your top 5 of all time.
There's so many guys that have to like position them for a top 5. By the time it gets to you, I may have a different one. If I have one, I'll change it. But if not, I'm keeping it the way it is.
Okay. I'm tagging all the followers. Notice I'm getting as many people in here as possible. So when I do correct you guys, it comes off as authentic.
I should almost change my channel to like overthinking sports because that's just me. I just overthink everything. So when you present this question, I was almost thinking like not so much top 5, like almost like a lineup, like point guard, shooting guard, power forward. Like I almost
can do that. You can do that. I'm good with that too. Because honestly, and I'm not trying to be rude when I say this, you could make a top 5 almost out of the top 5. Like you could have 5 guys that are in the top 10 NBA history and make a top 5. So like I'll give you an example, right? The greatest point guard of all time is Magic Johnson. The greatest shoe guard of all time is Michael Jordan. Then you have LeBron, you got Kobe, you got Tim Duncan, you got Shaq, you got Wilt. Like you can make a top 5 out of that.
That's kind of where right. I mean, I kind of looked at it like from just a dominant stand. I mean, you can go to rings and everything else, but just dominant players in my mind. I didn't watch all of them play, but I put
this man really have AI
Jordan, like best.
Is that AI? Does he have AI?
I'm hoping it's not Al Horford.
I love Dirk too, but like I don't think Dirk's top 5.
Oh my God. What are we doing, Damian? Turn the TV off.
I gotta go. Like I said, I'm probably not. I'm definitely not the NBA connoisseur like some people on the network are. So, good for them. I still like it, but I'm not like in love with it. But regardless, I go MJ number 1. Just he's the most dominant player in my mind.
Started correct.
Easy one. It's so hard to like rank them but I will go. Unfortunately for me, I'll go LeBron 2.
Okay. Top 5 players of all time, Anthony. NBA.
I'll go Magic 3.
Okay. That's respectable.
I'll go Larry Bird 4.
I can see it.
No, you know what? Only because I've seen him play a lot more. I'll go Kobe 4, Larry Bird 5.
See, that 5 isn't bad either. It's not right.
Yeah, it's
not bad either. It's not bad either.
It's tough though because some favoritism a little played into that a little bit. If it was up to me, LeBron wouldn't be in it at all. But
that's fine. I'll give you the top 5 of all time in order from 5 to 1. Make it dramatic, and then I will tell you my starting 5 that if I was putting together a team, because I think the starting 5 and the best 5 players of all time are different, and I'll explain to you what I mean by that next. But the greatest 5 players of all time, number 5, I have Kobe Bean Bryant, 5 championships. The guy's incredible. He's the closest thing we've ever seen to Michael Jordan, and you guys all know my thoughts on Michael Jordan. So Kobe Bean Bryant is my number 5. My number 4 is the highest scoring player of all time until LeBron passed him, and that's Kareem. You want to talk about somebody dominant at the center position? 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs. The guy was incredible. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, unstoppable shot. Kareem's my number 4. My number 3, and I don't want to hear because of the time that he was in. I don't want to hear it. Look his stats up. Like, Google something. Wilt Chamberlain's my number 3. You want to talk about a guy averaged 50 points and 25 boards in a season? Oh, he did it versus plumbers. Does he control the competition? Oh, and by the way, some of his best statistical nights were against the best defensive player of all time, Bill Russell. Bullshit, by the way. Bill Russell never averaged 20 points a game in a season ever, and people have him in their top 10 or top 5, and that's pathetic. And that's the whole thing that's oh, he's got so many championships. He had played on the greatest team ever. Like, there was 5 Hall of Famers on that team. Okay. My number 3 is Wilt. Wilt was the only person to score 100 points, averaged 50 points for a season, averaged 50 and 25. They told me he couldn't pass, led the league in assists at the center position. All the while, every game, this is not a joke, he would race someone before the game, sideline to sideline, basically court to court, courtside to courtside, for $100 and win every time. He used to be an Olympic track star. So my number 3 is Wilt. I have to explain that one because a lot of people don't understand that. They give like that whole, Wilt's he's played against plumbers. I don't care. Don't care. My number 2, LeBron James. Guys, the NBA points leader. You want to talk about a guy that's done it for year after year after year? Look what he's doing now in his 21st season in the NBA. LeBron's incredible, right? But he's not Michael Jeffrey Jordan. In his last 6 full seasons with the Chicago Bulls, he won 6 championships. Let me repeat that again. In his last 6 full seasons with the Chicago Bulls, he won championships.
Not bad.
No, not bad at all. Oh, by the way, it's been done 4 times where a player has won the NBA scoring title and been first time all defense. Michael Jordan did all 4. Defensive player of the year and scoring title. Guy was a top 10 defender of all time, top 10 scorer of all time. So when you're the best at putting the basketball in the net and the best at stopping the basketball going in the net. Oh, and they won 6 championships. It's Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Hard to argue. Yeah.
Never went to a game 7.
Well, he did go to game 7s. That's a fallacy that a lot of people.
Oh, in the finals. In the finals.
Right.
Yes.
That's a fallacy. People don't understand that, right?
Yeah.
He lost a ton of games in the beginning of his career. He couldn't get past the Celtics, but you got to understand the Celtics had 4 Hall of Famers on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible team, including Larry Bird, top 10 player of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was before Scotty became Scotty. Before Scotty was even a player in the league, he played against him a few times. And then Scotty really had to develop into the player he was before they could get over the hump versus the bad boys in Detroit. Detroit used to spank them, throw them around.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if you're asking a starting 5, like I think the best point guard of all time is Magic Johnson, but if I have to start a team, I want Steph Curry as my point because I feel like his range gives you more spacing. Now I'm going to get a little nuts here, right? I have Kobe Bean Bryant at the 2 for shooting. I have Michael Jeffrey Jordan at the 3. Keep in mind, both these guys are 6'6". They can play the 2 and the 3.
Mm-hmm.
I have LeBron James as my 6'8" And I mean, as a 5, because of all that spacing, I'll take Shaquille O'Neal. That's my 5 if I'm starting a 5. No one beats that 5 ever. Like, you couldn't come up with a 5 that beats that 5. You want to give me your 5? Your, like, starting 5 that you were thinking about here?
That's hard to argue. I mean, damn. I mean, I would have went the same way with Curry just because, like, he's a unicorn. Like, no, you know what I mean? We've never seen somebody shoot from the logo like he can. I mean, I'm like the biggest Kobe supporter of all time, so I have to have him in there regardless.
I had Kobe.
MJ, I mean, you're not going to pull him out of there. Who are you going to replace him with? Nobody. LeBron at the 4. I mean, dynamic, can pass the ball, obviously can score at will. I mean, I guess you could argue, like, maybe put KD at the 4 instead of LeBron, but I don't know.
You can't argue that. You can't make that argument. KD has never been the best player in the NBA ever. He hasn't. That's bullshit. I don't even like LeBron, and you can't make that argument.
I think he's had stretches where maybe not a complete full season, but he's just so dynamic. Like, he can score at will too. But yeah, I mean, Shaq at the 5. I mean, you could argue, like, I know you make the argument, like, Will, like, people make the argument, I should say, that Wilt played against Plummer. So I don't know, like, if you put Wilt in today's game, what would it look like? So for that fact, I would probably lean Shaq, or I would lean. I mean, who else is the?
You could easily go Tim Duncan.
Dominant like Shaq.
Mm-hmm. You could easily go Tim Duncan.
Yeah, but I'd rather have Shaq all day and tomorrow.
No, I agree with you, but like, so Anthony Price has got a very interesting list. He has Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Kareem, Shaq, Wilt. Only issue with that list is it doesn't have LeBron James. And like, the biggest LeBron haters in the world will try to take LeBron James off their list, but he's a top 5 player of all time. Like, you're silly not to think that. I don't like LeBron.
I'm one of them. I've been universally known as a LeBron hater, and I can't keep him out of my top 5. I went with Duncan at my 5. I will say that.
So Kevin David, this is actually a really smooth move. What Kevin David does, we talk about this often. He moves LeBron to the 1, and he has LeBron play point guard because he's a point forward. And then he goes Jordan, Bird, Duncan, and Kareem. It's a very good starting 5.
It's a pretty decent lineup there, yeah.
It's great. It's a great starting 5 because you can move LeBron to 1 through 4, and no one can argue. The only position I think he's a little fish out of water is the 2, just because of the speed of some of those guards. But he could be the 1, 4, or 5, or 1, 3, or 5, 4 on any team.
Yep.
So that's a very good starting 5. Kyle, what's yours?
I had Magic, Kobe, Jordan, LeBron, and Duncan.
Okay. And see, the thing is, if you were giving me like the best player at each position, I would say I would go Magic at the 1, Michael at the 2, LeBron at the 3, Timmy at the 4, and Will at the 5. That's the best player at each position, but that's not my 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your team doesn't beat the team I put out in 6. You're out of your mind. Like, you're cloning 2 of them. And the other 3, we're talking Bird, Duncan, Kareem versus Steph, Kobe, and Shaq. And I get what you're saying about this, the size of your team, but I have floor spacing. I have shooters. And in an NBA where 3 points is more than 2 points, spacing matters, especially at that level, right? Defensive spacing matters too. All right, so Steph would get eaten alive. You're right. Steph would get eaten alive. But who on your team is sticking Steph? Because I know you're not putting Michael on Steph, because then who's sticking Michael? Who's sticking Kobe? There's no way.
Mo brings up a good point. The Dream would make a good starting 5 as well.
I agree.
I'm a big Olajuwon fan.
But I think with the floor spacing that I have with my 4, Shaq would not be able to be double teamed, which I think,
right.
If you ask anyone, right, the most dominant center ball. I'm not saying he's the best. I think Kareem is better.
Mm-hmm.
But the most dominant center of all time is Shaquille O'Neal. And with that floor spacing that I can get him by having 4 guys that can knock down shots beyond the arc, not to mention how much it opens up for Michael Jordan to be able to drive the lane. But you have Kobe, who is a good 3-point shooter. Steph, who's the best 3-point shooter ever. LeBron, who's above average 3-point shooter. And then Mike. And then when you have that Shaquille O'Neal in the middle, it kind of makes things a little easier, right? How about
That
a
would
starting
be-
five, not in order? LeBron, Magic, Michael, Tim Duncan, and Kareem. That's fair.
Mhm.
Yeah, full peak, yes. He 3 straight MVPs. I think if you're talking peak, Bird could be argued as a top 5 player of all time. I disagree. I think he's 6. I have him 6 on my list. I have Kobe 5.
Mhm.
And you'll argue Kobe, Bird. We can argue that. That's fine. But I think their peaks were very similar. It's just Kobe had a little bit more longevity than Bird, which is why I give him the edge. But I have Bird 6. I have Magic 7. And I have Bird over Magic for the exact reason that you said, talking peak. 3 straight years he was the MVP. And at his height, right? Like if we're talking about Bird and Magic, we're talking about a roller coaster versus a race car. Where his peak is higher is Bird.
Mhm.
But the race car is straight and narrow. Longer.
Yeah.
Good debate. Let's move on to our second question. We got 3 more to get into.
Yes. Let's go with
You're the boss, brother. Oh, coach of the year?
Coach of the Year.
Oh, I love this.
Let's go with that one.
What
Dang.
is
This one,
why is that? Why is why do you have this image up here?
what?
I don't know if any 3 of these guys are on my are considered.
Oh, I just throw out some coaches. I don't want to influence you anyway.
No, I actually
was-
have one. My guy is on this list, and I'm kind of
Mine
annoyed.
is too.
I'm kind of annoyed that you did this because I feel like my guy's the dark horse, the sleeper, but I can make an argument for him. And if you agree with me, it's what I said on Thursday. I'm really going to be mad because I don't think you had that opinion before Thursday.
I honestly can't remember from Thursday.
Okay. Anthony Price says D'Amico Ryans.
Definitely in the running.
I like that.
Consideration.
Aaron, why don't you give me yours, Coach of the Year? And I'm gonna, while you're doing that, I'm actually gonna look up the odds for Coach of the Year right now, just to see how close, like who would be the long shot or not.
Right. So, I mean, there's so many angles you can take at this, like for whoever you pick. And like, I'm not, like you said, there is like a right and wrong answer, I think, just like our last topic. But for me, I just got to go, even though I don't think they're going to do much in the playoffs. That's probably not a hot take. I got to go Dan Campbell because think about the Detroit Lions just as a whole, as a franchise. The reputation of the Lions not even smelling victories, basically. He comes in there, completely changes the culture, and I mean, barring an absolutely crazy collapse, like they're a playoff team. You know what I mean? So I just have to, like, there's 2 guys on this picture I would give consideration to, but I just have to go Dan Campbell because they were. That team's been in shambles. How long? They trade Stafford away. Like no one really thinks Jared Goff's going to do anything in Detroit. And yes, their defense still isn't great, which is concerning. Which is why I don't think they have much Which is why I don't think they have much success, I should say, in the playoffs. But just the turnaround, I got to give Dan Campbell my tip of the cap.
The odds on Coach of the Year are absolutely insane. I just looked them up. I would place a bet on my guy right now. I'm going to give you my guy because I feel like Kyle's going to steal it. And I don't want him to. The odds for Coach of the Year are absolutely enormous. Like they're terrible. My guy's plus 1,200. You gave me a guy that shouldn't win the award. That's favored. So you might be right, but you're wrong. Is that fair?
Okay, valid.
My Coach of the Year is Kevin Stefanski. I said this Thursday. And the reason I said Kevin Stefanski's Coach of the Year is because Deshaun Watson played like 6 games. And then he had PJ Walker, Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And now he's got Joe Flacco, the ghost of Joe Flacco. And the guy's got 9 wins. Oh, by the way, he must have a great supporting cast around him. His all-pro running back tore his knee up 4 weeks into the season. Oh, you know what? They have such a great offensive line. They're missing their right and left tackle out for the year. Oh, and their backup right tackle's out. You know what? They probably have just amazing defense. They just hired Jim Schwartz this year. They have the number 1 defense in football. I don't think it's number 1. I think it's like 4 or 5, but like statistically, they have arguments for number 1 defense. Kevin Stefanski should be coach of the year. How he is coaching that team to a playoff with their number 1 running back being Jerome Ford, their number 1 quarterback being Joe Flacco, their number 2 wide receiver being Elijah Moore, who was basically given away by the Jets. The resurgence of David Njoku. Are we out of our freaking mind? Oh, and by the way, Stephen Chambers, love you. You're not allowed to name coach of the years if you don't know their names. When you say Dolphins head coach, it's Mike McDaniel. You're not allowed to do that. You can't do it. I love you. Can't do that. Got to know their names. Kevin Stefanski should win the award. He won't win it because the NFL is such a pick me league.
Mm-hmm.
But like, here's the argument, right? What's the Miami Dolphins record? They're 10-4.
They're 10-4.
Do you think that Mike McDaniel went through the same adversity as Kevin Stefanski?
No.
This is 9-5.
Yeah.
Oh, Dan Campbell. What's the Lions record?
They have 9 wins, right?
They just won yesterday. I think they're. I'll pull
Okay,
it.
so
they're either 9-4 or hold on. Let me get it real quick. I want to make sure I'm not saying it wrong. My Detroit Lions are 10-4.
10-4. Mm-hmm.
10-4
yesterday.
Did they lose their starting quarterback, starting running back? How about their wide receiving core? Did they not have first rounders all across that wide receiving core? Why should Mike McDaniels win? Why? Why should he win? I love Mike McDaniels. He's an offensive innovator.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that offense look when Tyreek Hill didn't play for 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Didn't look the same. No, he didn't play yesterday, and they looked great versus the Jets. So,
if you want to say McDaniel because of the Dolphins' history and him turning it around, I would say Dan Campbell has a better
turn it around.
But I'm just saying because of the Dolphins and their recent history, and then now them being successful this year makes him look much better as a coach. I would argue that Dan Campbell is a better representation of that because the Detroit Lions have been terrible forever, and now they're actually good. So I don't know if there's any way Mike McDaniel any argument for Mike McDaniel.
I just want to, for anybody who wants to argue that Mike McDaniel turned the Dolphins around, Mike McDaniel started on the team in 2022. I'm going to read you a record for the last 10 years. I want you to tell me when this team turned around. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. We got Joe Philbin, 7-9, 8-8, 8-8. Joe Philbin, 6-10. Adam Gase, 10-6, 6-10, 7-9. Brian Flores, 5-11, 10-6, 9-8. And then Mike McDaniel, 9-8, 10-4. He took over a winning franchise. They didn't turn him around.
Right. I completely agree. I'm just saying, like, the perception of it would be like, oh, the Dolphins are winning the AFC East. And it's kind of hard to think the last time they did that. That's the only reason I would say Mike McDaniel would even be in the conversation, because I kind of agree with you. The job he really did there was a couple of games more than Brian Flores.
I mean, it wasn't. The first year they did the same amount of games, and this year they have the same amount as Brian Flores did 2 years ago. Basically, like the year after. He got fired after a 9-8 year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like trying to be rude when I say this, but he took a team that was 7-9 that fired Adam Gase, who was terrible, and they were awful. They sold everybody. If you remember that offseason, like when they gave away Minka Fitzpatrick for $1 for first rounder, but they gave everyone away. They traded Laramie Tunsil. You remember that offseason when the Dolphins were losing to the bye week 72-0? When the Ravens beat the snot out of them week 1 of that year?
Yep.
They went 5-11 with nobody, with Ryan Fitzpatrick as their quarterback. And then they went 10-6 with a combination of Tua and Fitzpatrick. and went 9-8 with Tua, and that was the year Tua got hurt,
Mm-hmm.
and he got fired. He got fired. And I got fired.
Not to mention, like, look at Stefanski. I mean, yes, the AFC North hasn't been like as good, but still, I mean, the Bengals are hanging around. The Ravens are arguably the best team in football, and the Browns are hanging in there. Like, you get that. I tip my cap. Their defense is crazy good. Browns.
Yes.
Who's your pick, Kyle?
It was going to be Stefanski, but I was going to make an argument for maybe Zach Taylor. They started off slow. Then they started winning games in the middle of the season. They lose Joe Burrow. A lot of people thought the season was over. I feel like if Browning could get the Bengals into the playoffs, maybe Zach Taylor gets the most. But it's Stefanski. It should be by a long margin, because if you're going to tell me you won games with Watson, Flacco, DTR, and PJ Walker, that's all you need to say. And Nick Chubb, like you said, gets injured early in the season, and they're still looking like a wild card team with a chance to even win the division, possibly. You gotta give it to them.
I want to read you the odds out that are listed here.
Okay.
I'll start with the favorites. There's 3 favorites. It's Dan Campbell, DeMeco Ryans, and Mike McDaniel.
Ryans, I agree with. Yeah.
Plus 325. I agree with DeMeco. I don't agree with the other 2. Shane Steichen's plus 700. I think he's done a great job his first year as the Colts head coach. Lost Anthony Richardson. He's got Gardner Minshew taking that team to the playoffs, or on the brink of playoff ability. Kyle Shanahan is at 10-1, which I can understand that. The 49ers are the best team in football. There's no argument for me there. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. Sean Payton's 12 plus 1,200. I want to ask you a question real quick. Is Joe Flacco better than Russell Wilson?
No.
Okay. Is Jerome Ford better than I'm not sure. Let's try. Is Jerome Ford a better running back than Javonte Williams?
No.
Okay. Are the receiving core on the Browns better than the Broncos?
No. Wait.
So better receivers, better quarterback, better running back.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? They have the better record? That's what it is. No, they don't.
Right.
Oh.
That has to only be because the 70-point loss and then them hanging around the playoffs. I guess it would be a good story for Sean Payton, but yeah, not a better argument than Stefanski. Damien asked about Antonio Pierce. It's only been a couple of games. It's kind of tough.
I love what Antonio Pierce did on Thursday. I love what he did on Thursday.
Yeah,
like you could tell he wanted to win that game by 70. There was no letting his foot off the gas pedal.
Yeah.
By the way, if Antonio Pierce doesn't get that job,
it'd be wild.
Deserve everything they get. What do you think? It would be wild. They did the Rich Bisaccio 2 years ago.
I know, but it's like they had to know all the backlash they got from that, and then the McDaniels hire, how that went.
It is the Raiders we're talking about, though. It is
It's beyond belief that the Raiders would do that twice within 5 years.
Right.
I can't. I wouldn't be able to stomach that. But I openly rooted against the Raiders for what they did to Rich Bisaccio, and I'll openly root against them again if they don't give Antonio Pierce the opportunity. That team looks like a football team.
They play hard. That's for damn sure.
All right. Well, Kyle, you there, bud?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think my camera just acted. Okay.
They're a little frozen. That's okay. I just want to make sure you hear me.
Yes.
Raiders waiting on Jim Harbaugh. I mean, I guess. I think Jim Harbaugh. I'm tired of hearing about Jim Harbaugh going to the pros.
Mm-hmm.
Tired of it. I would rather him go to the pros And I think that the situation he should go to should be like a situation that he's there for years. Like, what do they need? They need defense and O-line. That's essentially a team that he's going to go to. A team that runs the football. Like, a perfect scenario for Jim Harbaugh would be the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, and I could
Yeah.
see that. Like
Okay.
if the Bills get smoked in like even the divisional round, I could see him parting ways with McDermott. Like they've knocked on the doorstep how many times, but they've never even. I don't think they've been to an AFC Championship if I'm not mistaken under McDermott.
No, and I don't think it's going to be McDermott. If I'm being honest, I don't think McDermott's going to lose his job. I think Joe Brady has saved that job because that offense looks a million times better. But my point being is, like, Harbaugh has situations that he can go to are perfect. But
I thought he would go to the Vikings when that whole rumor mill got some light. You know what I mean? Like I thought that just I don't know, that made a little bit of a sense to me. And I think he's trying to run out of Michigan eventually, like with all the scandals and all the accusations that's come his way. Like eventually he'll do a Pete Carroll and duck out of there.
I love to be
I don't
referred
know.
to as
Maybe
Pete
not.
Carroll. All right, what's next, gentlemen? What's next? Who should be the MVP? I'll read the question out. The question is, who is your MVP, and who do you think will win the MVP? Who will be the MVP? Who should be the MVP? I think it's two different answers. I think it's two different answers.
I'll let Kyle shoot on this one first.
Kyle's camera is like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, my camera's gone nuts, so I'll just leave it off. I'll say that who should win, I would argue, if he breaks the records, you'd have to say Tyreek Hill. Who will win? I think Brock Purdy wins it.
Kyle, didn't I say this on Thursday?
Once again, Thursday's such a blur. I can't fully remember. You probably did because
No. This is not me saying that you're stealing my pick.
No. I know.
On Thursday, I told everyone that was listening. I said the best bet right now for MVP is to bet on Brock Purdy because Dak's going to lose Sunday to Buffalo. And he's going to look bad. Mm-hmm. And Brock Purdy is going to become the favorite to win MVP. And he only has one game in which he can trip up the rest of the season where he could possibly look bad.
Yeah.
Bet on Brock Purdy. Oh, by the way, on Thursday, I think I told everybody that the Lions were the lock of the century and that they would win the game by 25 points. Yep. And the Lions won the game by exactly 25 points. That should win the MVP, won't win the MVP. Brock Purdy's going to win the MVP. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it because he definitely deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
Stop being a Brock Purdy hater. I said this on the morning show this morning, and I'll say it again. I didn't get a chance to talk, but I said it in the comments. People are making reasons for Dak to win MVP and making excuses on why Brock shouldn't. When I don't think that's fair. Oh, Brock Purdy shouldn't win MVP because he's got a good team. What? Didn't he throw like 5 touchdowns yesterday?
Yep.
But now, it's got to be CMC. Like, dude, CMC should win MVP. Christian McCaffrey should win MVP. But my pick is always going to be that my pick CMC. I would pick CMC. I think he's incredible. He does it both ways. Mm-hmm. Catches the ball, runs. I think he's a great blocker. He's a leader. But I'll give Brock Purdy credit. And then Tua, real weird, did the same exact interview. Did you guys see that? Like, am I the only one that watched that? Brock Purdy said, give it to Christian McCaffrey. Give it to Deebo Samuel. I don't care. I just want to win. And then Tua in the same, like the next day after the Dolphins won the game versus the Jets, he said, give it to Tyreek Hill, give it to Jalen Waddle, give it to Raheem Mostert. I don't care. I just want to win football games. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Brock Purdy just said that on Saturday. It was really weird. Bro, I'm so serious. If you heard that, like, I don't know. I think that Brock Purdy is going to win it. I will have no problem if he wins it. I think it should go to Christian McCaffrey. But I'll tell you, I'll say it again. Dallas Cowboys fans and, if anybody's got an issue with Dallas Cowboys fans being the topic on ESPN, it's because your team doesn't have enough fans. Dallas has like the 7th most highest rated Sunday Night Football games of all time. They're all Cowboys. Like, I'm not saying that they should be America's team. I hate the Cowboys. But, like, don't lie to yourself. Dallas is going to get over-talked about all the time because they're the most popular team in football. The most popular team in baseball is the Yankees. The most popular team in basketball is the Lakers. The most popular team in soccer is Manchester United. Like, say it with me, guys. It's not hard.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not their fault that he gets overhyped. But everything's bigger in Texas, right? Everything the Cowboys do is bigger. Dak's going to get a lot of MVP push if he has a good game versus Miami. But the truth is, Brock Purdy should win it based off the criteria. But my pick would be for Christian McCaffrey. I'm waiting for Brutally Honest to give me his.
Waiting for me. All right. I hate to be the type of guy that just agrees and like just nods his head and says yes, sir. But it's hard for me to, like it's hard for me to argue against Brock Purdy. And like as much as I'm like become ever since the NFC Championship and everything the 49ers have said off season. And yes, I give them their credit where credit is due. They came out and smoked the Eagles a couple weeks ago, but yeah, and Brian on that comment, a quarterback will win. 99% of the time, a quarterback will win the MVP. Like it's just that's the reality of the situation. And I mean, Purdy is just on fire. Like he just can't miss. He's accurate. Like he's extremely accurate. They obviously Kyle Shanahan game plans very well. And I'm not saying that he wouldn't be as good on a different team. That's like a different argument for a different show almost. But like what he's doing. what he's doing.
Because when Patrick Mahomes won the MVP, were you arguing Andy Reid's such a great offensive coach?
Right. Yeah. I mean,
like
it's just
the argument.
And the fact that they've just, for the most part, they've like ever since that 3-game losing streak, I should say, they've just kind of dominated everybody, and like they just put up monster points on offense. Yes, he has Debo, Ayuk, McCaffrey, obviously, and to kind of bang that drum too. Like I think McCaffrey is all around just the most important player in probably the NFL, but he's not a quarterback. So at the end of the day, is he as important as if your quarterback went down? You can make the argument no. So it's as versatile and as good as he is, it's going to go to it's going to go to a quarterback, I should say. I think Lamar's had an excellent year, and like watching him last night even he's so damn hard to stop, like whether it's him throwing or, obviously his legs are such a key piece to their success. But like the Baltimore's defense, just like the 49ers is elite. And I just think their defense has shown up a little bit more than he has. And if you look at the stats head to head, Purdy blows him out of water passing. Now, obviously not rushing.
But. Yes.
Yeah, but Lamar Jackson, everyone talked about Lamar Jackson last night. Like that was his staple case. I just want to read some stats out to you. He had 14 to 24, 171 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, sacked 3 times with a 68.6 QBR. Oh, he had 12 carries for 97 yards. So let's put it together. Let's be fair.
Mm-hmm.
He had 267 yards of offense with 1 touchdown, 1 interception. We're talking about him as being the MVP last night.
Oh, it's because Collinsworth was going crazy over Lamar last night.
Oh my God, Collinsworth!
I don't care.
No, because I agree. I didn't think that performance last night was that great. Look, the pass he threw to Likely should have been picked. That was a terrible decision that 100%. He made.
Oh, and by the way, just fun fact. It's okay to admit Brock Purdy should be the MVP and isn't a top 5 quarterback in football. Like, I don't think Brock Purdy's on anyone's top 5 list. If he is, you're not watching. And that's your argument. You could say, okay, well, Brock Purdy's playing great within the system he's in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay to be the MVP playing great in the system in which he's in. That's all right. Because Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't do that in that system. Trey Lance couldn't do that in that system.
Yep.
Fair.
Nick Mullen couldn't do that in that system.
Yep.
CJ Beathard couldn't do that in that system. It's okay to say both things. Is he better than Joe Burrow? No. Is he better than Patrick Mahomes? No. Is he better than Josh Allen? No. Is he better than Jalen Hurts? No. Is he better than Trevor Lawrence or Justin Herbert? No. He's not a better Lamar Jackson? No. He's not better than those guys. But is football a one-man sport or is it a team sport?
It's a collective, yeah.
And he's the best at running the offense in which he's in. He's the best at running the offense he's in.
Mo is a good point. Matt Ryan did it in the same system.
And won an MVP.
Yep.
I think it's just neglectful the way we're talking about Brock Purdy. Like, what has Dak Prescott done better than Brock Purdy this year? What?
Because Dak's not Mr. Irrelevant. They don't want Mr. Irrelevant to be an MVP. He's not supposed to be.
Here's the Brock Purdy MVP case. For other quarterbacks, they make a case for him. For me, they're making a case against me.
Yep.
Brock Purdy for MVP.
Absolutely.
You're talking about the biggest Brock Purdy hater last year.
I still am. I'm still in that group.
Adults can learn from their mistakes and make changes in their opinion based off of the evidence that's shown to them.
No, he should be MVP. I hate that he is going to be the MVP. That's where I can admit he's a great player, but I can also say I can't stand the 49ers like whatsoever. So
I don't like the 49ers either. I don't like the 49ers as much as I don't like the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm with exactly.
You're an analyst. You're an analyst now. You're not a fan. And as an analyst, you have to understand what you're watching and be honest about it.
I'll ask you this real quick. I don't want to get long-winded. Do you think obviously if they keep most of these pieces in place, like, do you think he does this for years to come? Or do you think he's like, will he not fall off a cliff per se, but will he like come back a little bit to quote unquote reality or like, is he really this good for a long?
No, because he's getting paid nothing. He's going to get paid. And when he gets paid, you can't have all those pieces. You can't have one of the greatest left tackles of all time, a top 2 tight end, a top 2 receiving core, the best running back in football, the best defense in football. You can't have that for 4 or 5 years because of the salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason it works so well right now is because they're paying him nothing. And by the way, if I'm Brock Purdy, I don't care where I'm at in my contract. I'm getting paid this offseason. We're not doing this again.
You got to take advantage. Like, you're playing at such a high level. You got to get what you're deserved or what you feel is deserved.
I'm getting paid this offseason. I'm not waiting. You're not giving me a 5th-year option. We're not doing that. You're paying me the offseason. If he wins MVP of the league, he's signing a contract this offseason. There's no way they're going to get away with paying this man $700,000 next year.
Right.
Hold on, let me look this up. I want to know the exact amount of money. Brock Purdy contract. Because that's real important, right? He has a 4-year, $3.7 million contract. He makes $934,000 a year. And you wonder why the 49ers had the best roster in football. Hello?
Staring you in the face.
Yeah.
And that's great for him. And that's great for the 49ers. They have a great roster because Kyle Shanahan's so great that he can make Mr. Irrelevant into the MVP of the league. Doesn't change the fact that he's the MVP of the league. He's thriving in a system.
Yeah.
It's a good lead-in.
They better take advantage now. Like, this is a small window of having a team this good.
If he played out his whole contract, they have a 4-year window.
But
one of the biggest windows that you can actually have.
Right, but we all know that's not. I mean, the likelihood of that happening is very slim.
If you're Brock Purdy's agent, you 100% make sure he gets paid this offseason.
Yep. Well, Makes it makes too much sense not to.
Yep, fact. I think this is a perfect introduction into our next question, though.
Yes.
Like, perfect. Because Cam Newton said there are 5 current game changers at quarterback. After the NFL legends, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, the ultimate and elite game managers who were elite game changers when needed, Newton then addressed today's quarterbacks. Even then, he said there's only 3 to 5 game-changing signal callers. That's really there's really only 3 to potentially 5 game changers in the NFL right now. Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. If you're a real football fan, you'd have to agree with this take. Those guys don't need everything around them to have continued and consistent success. They also shown the ability to overcome adversity and give their teams chances to win more often than not. Cam is not correct. I would love to hear from one of you 3 that thinks he is correct, because Brian Crawford said he's correct. And I'm sure there's people that are in his ballpark. And by the way, Cam Newton's right for having a take. And I don't think he'd be destroyed for being able to have his opinion. Yep. But he's incorrect about this take.
I mean, yeah, I think, because I guess he was trying to say being a game manager isn't a terrible thing. That I agree with. It's just that, unfortunately, the way that the NFL media's made game managers sound, it's like the team wins in spite of your ability. Whereas Cam is saying, it kind of seems like Cam is saying like game changers are the guys who have like some mobility and all that within the pocket. So it breaks down, they can still make some plays. Which, if that's what he wants to say, fine. But when you're going to say that Brady or Manning or Breeze needed things to be like completely perfect around them to win, because that's basically what he's saying. Because he's saying you're a game changer, you don't need those situations. But Brady, Manning, and those guys are game managers, just an elite one. I mean, Brady took teams that had wide receivers you couldn't name deep into the playoffs. Manning took teams that have terrible defenses deep in the playoffs. And Drew Brees, he had adversity that he went through. So I see what he was trying to say in separating these quarterbacks. I just think, I don't think it's necessarily all the way correct, but I see where he was trying to get to. And like you said, the fact that he's getting killed for this take on like ESPN and stuff is crazy to me.
It's amazing how he's getting killed, but like guys like Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith can say some of the most outlandish, stupid things ever, and they don't get killed because they fall under the umbrella of an analyst or a TV personality. Whereas Cam Newton, because he played the game and has an opinion that which should be respected because he played the game.
Yeah.
He gets crushed for, and I understand what he's saying, right? Like the stipulation of game manager is different than the way he looks at it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. Like the premise wasn't an issue.
I mean, he might as well just say athletic quarterbacks because or quarterbacks that can extend the play. But then he has Joe Burrow on his list. That bothers me too. Because if you look at those 5 quarterbacks, one of those things isn't like the other. And Joe Burrow, he's not athletic. He's not really a escapability quarterback. He doesn't really make things happen with his legs. So why is he on the list with Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes, but like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees are ultimate and elite game managers? By the way, just want to make a comment about the 3 quarterbacks above. Drew Brees was the most accurate quarterback ever to throw a football within yards. Peyton Manning was the system. You didn't need an offense coordinator when you had him. He was the fucking system.
Yep.
And Tom Brady's the greatest winner ever. He won with nobodies. They took a cornerback, a wide receiver that played cornerback, and we're like, oh, you're going to be our top receiver.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And like that whole like elite game managers, like I get why that term is thrown around. Like Mark Sanchez is the definition of a game manager. Jimmy G, you could make the argument. I mean, maybe he's better than a game manager in his prime, right? But like they were never going to be top 5 quarterbacks. They were never going to be like, oh my God, we'll trade the farm to get this guy. Like it was never going to be that. So like I am a little bit confused on the fact that like he says they're the most elite game managers, like just purely on the fact that they're not mobile quarterbacks. Like that doesn't really make like what argument can you make? Because all 3 of those guys are legendary and Hall of Famers, like without a doubt. Like it's just like they're shoo-in Hall of Famers. So I don't know like if he's like to say, you know, these guys like Aaron Rodgers, Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Mahomes are like the 5 game changers. Like I don't know. Like if Trevor Lawrence is playing really good, is he not a game changer? Is CJ Stroud not a game changer? Like I don't like that conversation is kind of vague to me. Like that the way he addresses that is like I don't get that.
Damon, are you an idiot?
Yeah.
Damon, I'm not trying to be rude. You got to be an idiot. Drew Brees was only good when he had Reggie Bush. By the way, I spelled Breeze wrong. Come on, dude. Like, I love every listener, and I'm not trying to disrespect anyone. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know. Aaron, spot on take. My point when I'm saying, like, he's here, let me make Cam's argument for him. A game changer is someone that changes the rules of the game, maybe because they extend plays, and I don't know. I can't say that because if you replace, let me ask you a question. If you replaced one of his game-changing quarterbacks, I don't know. Let's just go Josh Allen with Peyton Manning in his prime. Are the Bills better or worse?
Better, without question.
So
Right.
Peyton Manning didn't change the game. He wasn't a game changer. By the way, he dissected defenses.
Mm-hmm.
If you
And,
replace
like, a game, no, go ahead.
No,
go ahead.
Yeah,
I was
go ahead.
gonna say,
No,
if you replace Aaron Rodgers. I'm gonna go. If you replace Aaron Rodgers with Tom Brady, where those Packers teams win more than one Super Bowl?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, so got Aaron.
No, like I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me. Like just because those guys are game changers in the fact that they can play, the play breaks down, they can run. Like Big Ben would definitely be a game changer then. Like there's no doubt because he was like an artist at like if the play breaks down, he's shredding 3 tackles, he's throwing the ball 40 yards downfield. Like, and yes, I'm a Big Ben fan, and like I think he's obviously a legendary quarterback. But like to say like Brady's not a game changer, like just the fact that he can audible at the line and he knows where the ball's going and he gets the ball out so damn fast, like, and obviously not even counting how much he won in the league. Like I just think I'd have to see the entire interview, but like from that excerpt and like all this buzz it's getting, yes, it's clickbait and ESPN will take it and run with it, but it just doesn't quite like line up to me. Like there's a lot, like I think Herbert with a good coach could be definitely a game changer. Like I'm not saying he is right now, but like and Jalen Hurts isn't a game changer, so that doesn't even make sense to me because he is a quarterback that can run at will. You know what I mean? So him not even being in the conversation is weird to me too. Even though yes, I'm an Eagles fan, but why is he not brought up?
Well, I want to respond to Brian's comments, and it's basically what you just said, Aaron. It's not about mobility. Big Ben in his prime was a game changer with the ability to make something out of nothing. And here's where you're wrong. There's never something out of nothing from a quarterback's perspective because there's always something. If you were smart at the line, like Peyton Manning, you were able to read the defense to make something out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a real thing, right? There's always something. You're designing an offense. So if Peyton Manning picked the right play and Ben Roethlisberger couldn't read the defense but scrambled around and found the player, like that's the difference between a game manager and a game changer. Like there's always something, guys. If you watch all 22 and change the view to Skybox, you can find an open receiver on every play of any NFL football game. It's whether the quarterback has enough time to see the receiver open and throw it to him, whether he knows what coverage they're in.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something out of nothing. It's so why? Because Drew Brees was better at reading a defense than Ben Roethlisberger, so he can get the ball. He's not a game changer. So intelligence is no longer a game changer, right?
Yeah. It kind of seems like Cam Newton, when he sat in front of the camera, was going to talk about Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes as being like maybe his best quarterbacks today, and then just kept talking and somehow got himself into a box that now the rest of it doesn't really make sense, because like the Brady Manning Brees part still messes with me in terms of the full statement here, because it's like he mentioned Rodgers and all of them and then was like, oh wait, I want to talk about Brady, Manning, and Brees, but to me they're not game changers, but I'm just going to call them elite ultimate game managers and create a special group for them to hopefully fit the narrative I'm trying to make, which still isn't clear because, like you said, Burrow seemingly doesn't fit the other four from today. And if you want to argue like Lamar, I thought the reason why Lamar didn't have his success was because he didn't have the weapons around him. So if he's a game changer because he can take the not the best situation and make it great, but he hadn't done that in his career. So I don't understand how he fits the game changer category either.
It's funny because Anthony Price writes, if you replace Drew Brees with Joe Burrow, is that the same player? The answer is no. And like I think Joe Burrow could be elite like Drew Brees but like it takes years and years of understanding a defense to be able to do what Drew Brees did. And I think we're just ignoring intelligence, right? I think we're ignoring the fact that a guy can understand where coverage is going to break down or where to go with the football.
Mm-hmm.
We're ignoring that and saying it's just game manager. Like, yes, did Manning, Brees, and Brady manage the game better than anyone? Yes, but that doesn't mean they weren't game changers.
All right.
They were elite game managers, but they were also game changers with their study, their preparation, their understanding of what a defense is running. Like, I think Cam still doesn't understand. I don't think Cam understands defenses the way. I think if Cam could have did what Brees, Brady, and Manning could have did, he would have. But he couldn't. And like when I look at Lamar Jackson, I see a guy that still can't read coverage. Like, yeah, it's great on his feet, but like watch Lamar Jackson or even Trevor Lawrence for that matter on every 4th and 3 or every 3rd and 4. They're always looking to break out with their legs and see if they find a hole because they don't trust their ability to read a defense yet. And that takes years and years of experience, years and years of study. That matters. Watch them. Really like, guys, I didn't want to get far into this. You guys both watched Sunday Night Football last night?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to tell me what grade you would have gave. Now, take the fumble out of it. No, I can't say that because he didn't deserve the fumble. Should have been third. I gave Trevor Lawrence an A last night when I was grading him as a quarterback, and they scored 7 points. Did anyone else give him close to an A when they were grading him last night?
No.
And the reason no one does is because they don't understand what they're watching. And I don't mean to sound cocky and arrogant when I say this, but like the 4th down in which the ball was thrown to Evan Ingram and Evan Ingram cut across the middle of the field, he ran the wrong route. I understood that because I knew what I was watching. I break it down day after day after day. Evan Ingram should have ran to the spot. Even Chris Collinsworth was talking about the spot. That's the reason I bring that play up is because Chris Collinsworth even seen what Evan Ingram was supposed to do.
Mhm.
Without Christian Kirk on the football field, Calvin Ridley plays okay football, but Trevor Lawrence threw dime after dime after dime and had bad receiving play across the field, bad O-line play across the field, and then on a 3rd and 17 after drop pass, offsides, he tries to scramble for a first down and fumbles the ball, which he shouldn't have. He fumbled the ball. It was a terrible play. That's why I didn't get an A+.
Yeah.
He got them in field goal range, missed field goal. Got them in field goal range, missed field goal. Threw 2 touchdown passes that were dropped. Threw a dime off play action for a touchdown to Agnew. Now, granted, Agnew was wide open, but I watched a football game. People aren't watching. They're just looking at stats.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. You don't know what you're watching. He played amazing last night. Scored 7 points.
Yeah.
It's the biggest team game for a reason. Like,
if you don't know what you're seeing, that's okay. But like to say a player stinks or sucks, like just curious, what grade did you give him last night? And before what I said,
Lawrence,
just watching,
I had him at a B only because I knocked him for the fumble because that was a big turnover at the time, and at the end of the first half, the clock management, which I guess you could put that on Peterson if you wanted. But
no, you could put that on Lawrence for throwing an out route and the receiver couldn't get out of bounds. That's fair. I get it.
So I think those are 2 big plays that I guess would knock him down a grade. But yeah, I wouldn't like say he failed last night. Yeah, I'd say a B for him.
He was the leading rusher on a team with Travis Etienne.
Mm-hmm.
He had 4 carries for 41 yards. Threw for 264 at 6 drop passes, and he was 25 of 43. His number 1 receiver last night was Jamal Agnew. His number 2 receiver was Zay Jones,
who could barely move with that bulky brace on his knee.
Yeah, and then he came up limping later.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. But like we talk about the turnovers, but like we don't talk about the why those turnovers happen. Like the fumble that he had, which was another bad fumble when he got sacked and fumbled the ball, was after 2 dropped passes in a row. Like no one thinks the reason they were in 3rd and 10, the reason he was trying to extend the play with the football is because they dropped 2 passes in a row.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
That Jacksonville Jaguars team sucks. They have a good coach, a good quarterback, a good running back. But I want to ask you guys a question. Do you think the Jags are a top 10 team in football right now? Record-wise, it says they are. Top 10.
On the eye test,
after watching them, no. Yeah, eye test, no.
So watch this, right? Do they have a top 10 receiving core? The answer is no.
Especially without Christian Kirk. Yeah, no.
Do they have a top 10 defense?
No. Their pass defense is the worst in the league.
Terrible.
Okay, all right. Do they have a top 10 offensive line? They're ranked 26, by the way. Just FYI.
If you only watched last night, you could see, no, they don't.
Etienne's a borderline top 10 running back. And I'd say borderline for a reason. He's borderline. He's not like ingrained in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Like all healthy, right? He's not better than Chubb, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. Like I can name you 10 running backs off the top of my head that are better than him if everyone's healthy. Top 10 running back now. But
Etienne might sneak in 10 lists because if you had 8 right off the top and you needed a 9 or 10, maybe you threw him in there. But yeah, he's not.
The point is they're a top 10 record in football because of Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson.
Absolutely.
Like, stop being stupid. I'm fine with Bose saying A-. I'm good with that. 2 fumbles, A-. It's probably an A-. But it's like, what are you idiots watching? And I don't want to go on a Trevor Lawrence tangent. I just can't stand like when Darius Slice said something the other night. I'm going to open this up for discussion. He said, I played a damn near perfect game versus Dallas. I played great. The rest of the team didn't play like shit. Now he had arthroscopic knee surgery and is out for a few weeks now. So, but like this was after a fan put up no play Slay and Trashberry in front of the Eagles after the Eagles got shredded on defense. And he was talking about the way he played on defense. And Slay did play perfect versus Dallas. He played perfect. Now, you shouldn't say that. You're a bad teammate for saying that.
Selfish.
But I can't take when an idiot puts a trash can in front of the NovaCare complex saying no play Slay because he doesn't understand what he's watching. Welcome back, Kyle. You look pretty. But but I mean this when I say, like, when you watch these players play on the field, like, do you know what defense they're running? Are you looking to see what defense they're running? Are you understanding, like when I hate when a guy says, this guy sucks. It's an all-pro cornerback in the NFL. He doesn't suck. He gets paid $18 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. There's a reason I don't go to football games, guys. I can't stand around stupid people telling me what they don't know that they're watching. I'll pause.
No, it's understandable because everyone in the stands thinks they're, all-pro quarterback or a Hall of Fame coach, and they think they see everything. But, I mean, I was going to ask you the question, so you have Trevor Lawrence's grade. What grade would you give Lamar off of last night?
It's funny. I gave him a B+. I thought Trevor Lawrence outplayed him.
Okay.
That sounds crazy, right? I mean, to the naked ear that, like, is just looking at stats or listening to ESPN, that sounds nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I think Trevor Lawrence outplayed him last night. I don't think Lamar was great.
I don't either. He still showed.
He's incredibly elusive, and he can extend plays like nobody else in the NFL.
Right. And that goes to Aaron's point.
Incredibly elusive.
Jacksonville's defense allowed him to do that time after time after time. The times they forced him to stay in the pocket and throw outside the numbers, which we know is his weak point, he was inaccurate all night unless it was within like 3-4 yards of the line of scrimmage and he threw it a quick out. Yeah, he could throw those. But down the field, he was overthrowing guys or whatever. If for some reason Jacksonville kept rushing like 3 or 4 guys, putting guys back into coverage, and Lamar would drop back, wait for everybody to run downfield, and then just take off. And they never made an adjustment.
These idiots watch the blueprint on how to beat Lamar Jackson, and no one uses it. I don't get it. Brian Flores wrote a blueprint on how to beat Lamar Jackson, and it's only been replicated 5 or 6 times. By the way, for the people that are talking about Lamar Jackson and weapons, you do realize that his number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4 wide receivers on his depth chart, all first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
Do you realize that?
Are they? I'm not gonna say like that's not accurate because it is, but like is Bateman a first-round talent?
I don't know. I thought he was coming out. I graded him a first-round talent. I don't know though.
Has he panned out? That's more so. You know what I mean? Like,
have you seen him with anyone besides Lamar Jackson?
Valid point too. Yeah, that's the.
I don't know.
And like,
he could be an elite outside the numbers route runner and as his top 4 wide receivers. So even if I concede to you that Aguilar and Bateman are not first-round talents, he still has Odell Beckham Jr. and Zay Flowers.
Mm-hmm.
He's got plenty of weapons. Why is it always the weapons' fault in Baltimore?
Because they don't want to say it's Lamar.
Yeah.
I don't think he can read defenses or throw well outside the numbers.
He's shown he can't throw outside the numbers.
I
He
don't
doesn't
think
want to.
He wins
All
a
his
hell of
big
a lot
plays
of
are over
games.
the middle.
Like, he's a great regular season winning like he's a winner in the regular season, but he's yet to prove it in the playoffs. I'm still waiting. You know what I mean?
I'll be interested to see what Baltimore does this year.
This is
I
the
like
year for them to do it. The
What?
teams in the
Yeah.
AFC are
Oh, they're definitely ripe for the picking. Every team in the NFL's got a flaw right now except San Fran. But it's a long season. Name a team in the NFL that doesn't have
I
a flaw.
had that argument with somebody. Somebody was trying to ask about the most complete team, and somebody said Baltimore is the most complete team in the NFL. And I said, not a chance. It's the Niners, easily. Because Baltimore, the part of Baltimore's team that I know what I'm going to get week in and week out, I'd say their defense. Their offense has a lot of flaws, and I think a good defensive coordinator who knows what they're doing can stop Lamar in that offense. And if you take the running game away from him and his back, what does Lamar do after that? He's going to struggle because he's going to try to throw over the middle, and if you know what you're doing, you stop that and you force him outside the numbers, and you'll see a much different Lamar Jackson. Whereas with San Francisco, it's like they find ways to they can attack you in so many different ways that it makes it difficult for you to game plan against them.
It's funny that you guys bring like that to the table. I want to just play a quick game with San Fran, and I'm going to ask you whether they're average, below average, or above average. And I'm going to go through position groups. Quarterback.
Okay.
Above average.
Above average this year, yeah.
Running back.
Above average.
Above average.
Offensive line.
Above average.
Receiving group.
Above average.
Above.
Defensive line.
Above.
Way above average.
Linebackers.
Above.
Secondary.
I'd probably still say above average.
Yeah.
Head coach.
Outside of a Super Bowl, above average.
Yeah.
Defensive coordinator.
Who's the coordinator? Is it Wilkes? Yeah. Yeah. Steve Wilkes is pretty good.
What are we talking about?
We'll plug in there, Wilkes.
They're better everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to kill Baltimore.
Look, for Baltimore fans' sake, they better hope it doesn't end up that way. Because I think that's going to happen.
Baltimore. That's going to be a 3.5 point spread. I'm going to retract my Detroit Lions as my easiest bet of the year. What's the look-ahead line for that game? I bet it's up right now. I bet I could tell you right now. That spread on Christmas Day is going to be Niners minus 4.5. Before I even look, I'm telling you what it's going to be. And I'm going to bet $500 on the Niners.
Okay.
Got it. 5.5.
Yeah.
The easiest bet you're going to make all year. You tell me you're not, but you tell me with a straight face you're picking the Ravens to cover that spread.
No.
That's crazy. I still think the Lions was the easier play because the running difference between them and the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
But this is an easy play. It's an easy play. I guarantee it's one of my picks next week.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, gentlemen, before we wrap up? We kind of went a little bit because Chase had no internet. So we got a little. Sorry if I talk too much. I apologize to everyone that came here to listen to Aaron and Kyle talk more. I definitely talked way too much. I apologize.
No, it was good because I feel like the quarterback conversation was. I mean, I guess we should thank Cam Newton for it, but it's one that if you ask 3-4 different people, they'll have different criteria in ranking quarterbacks, and it's very simple to look at the game last night with the whole Trevor Lawrence thing again and just see, oh, they only put up 7 points, so Trevor Lawrence had to be terrible. But if you look at the circumstances of the game and everything, was he at his best? No, but he still played well enough that if the Jaguars could have executed in key moments, the Jaguars could have easily have won that game last night. Baltimore did not play great. The scoreline says otherwise, but they left a lot of points on the table, and they got lucky on some of those. That likely throw should have been picked. I don't know how it wasn't. Somehow, likely caught it, and shout out to him. But you don't roll out to your right and throw all the way across the field on a jump ball with double coverage and think that's the right idea.
I was throwing my remote when that happened. I'm like, how the hell did that just happen? I was blown away.
It's not Mark Andrews. It's likely. I think really, But hey, I mean, he's been balling out. So.
He threw like a jump ball to the second string tight end with 2 Jaguars around him, and the tight end came out with the football.
Right. It's like he threw it in the end zone.
Like,
he didn't even throw it in the end zone either. It was like at the 3-yard line.
Great quarterback play.
He's down there somewhere.
Collinsworth loved it.
He
was all over Lamar last night.
He always picks somebody every week. It's just before it was Dak Prescott when they played the Eagles. It was just like, oh, he's the best thing since sliced bread.
I mean, Dak deserved it versus the Eagles, though. He looked amazing.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, he's gonna pick somebody every week. It's just nauseating to me. But
he didn't look great yesterday. Are the Cowboys a fraud team? I'm kidding, guys. They're not a fraud team. They're a very good football team. They went on the road.
Be a fraud as soon as the playoffs start.
Yeah, I don't have to argue with that. I'm just, Yeah. All right, gentlemen, I have a Philadelphia Eagles game to prepare for. And before I prepare for that, I'm going to actually, you know what? We got time to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in such a good mood, and we are so profitable right now over at Wire to Wire sports betting, my service that I have, that I'm going to have you guys help me pick my parlay tonight.
All right.
You guys are going to pick the parlay, and if we win the parlay, I don't know, I'll send you something. Maybe we'll do like $20 each person. But in the comments, give me picks. I don't care. What do you think happens tonight in Philadelphia versus Seattle? So give me a player that you think has a big night, and we'll all agree on it, and then we'll wrap up the show.
Okay.
I think the Eagles win the game. Can we go there?
Yes.
All right, I got the Eagles winning the game. Geno Smith is officially out.
Okay. I didn't need to know
That's a
that.
big one. Yeah.
Wait, is he officially out? The line just moved from 3.5 to 5. I'm just guessing that means Geno Smith's out.
Let's see.
Geno Smith. Oh, active. Geno Smith's active.
Yep. Says unclear if he'll start, but yeah, he's active.
Okay, cool. All right, I got the Eagles winning the game. I got a Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. They're the 2 I always start with.
Mm-hmm.
The tush push will happen. Give me another thing that's going to happen tonight. AJ Brown is a big game. Mo said it. I got to go AJ Brown. We'll be going 70 yards.
I'm about to say Witherspoon is out.
And 70 yards for AJ Brown?
Yes.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do much last week. Yeah.
Plays out. What do you guys think? DK Metcalf? You guys aren't really helping me here.
I'm trying to think of one.
Do you think Philly runs the ball more than they have been? Like,
I think DeAndre Swift is a big game.
Yeah.
Swift for a touchdown. I've said that.
I only do touchdowns. I only do one touchdown. It's Jalen Hurts because they get to the 1 yard line. Swift doesn't even get a chance to run the ball.
Yeah.
We go Swift 50 yards rushing.
Yes.
God, I would hope so.
Yeah,
as long as they give him the ball.
All right, this is what I got so far. It's a lot. Philly money line, Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, AJ Brown 70 yards, DK Med 50 yards, DeAndre Swift 50 yards, AJ Brown 6 receptions. In order to get 70 yards, you need 6 receptions.
I like Brandon's.
with Brandon.
Yeah. Lockett over 49 because I think Drew Lock likes throwing to Tyler Lockett.
Okay, we'll go Lockett. We'll add Tyler Lockett. See, I like Njigba tonight, if I'm being honest with you, but I'll do Lockett 40 and then Njigba 40.
Okay.
I got a lot in here, but it pays plus 2,700. So I put it
I
in.
love it.
$100 wins 2,800. If we win, I will send both co-hosts $50 a piece. So you guys have money on this. If we win. And I will send one listener $100 if this wins.
Okay.
Cross your fingers on that.
We'll do a drawing next week on cheap seats.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning into the Cheap Seats podcast. Any final thoughts, Aaron, Kyle?
Enjoy the game.
Nope.
I know you guys have
Go Birds. We need this one.
You
We need
guys
this
are
one.
Eagles fans. Yes. And Red Sox get Yamamoto. Let's go.
My final
Somebody's gonna
thoughts,
get him.
my final thoughts are go Birds.
Cy just said go Hawks, so you got that going for you.
All right. Well, y'all have a great night. Go Eagles. Let's go. Thank you for tuning in to the Cheap Seats podcast. We are.